think the guy sitting next to me on this flight just died in the bathroom. He's been gone for 20 minutes. I'm so loud. My man in there, Liddy, blowing it up. Oh, here you come now. You better not touch me. I know his hands are shitty. He's coming.
Give me 1 second real quick. All right, bet. We about to go live, so all right, bet. Everybody here, we good?
Man. Yeah, first thing I'm gonna say is fuck Grapevine.
Nah, chill, man. We spreading positivity, man. It's all positivity, man. Hold up, man. Let me check if we still muted. Damn, we not muted. All right, fuck, that's logged in. All right. Chill, we all about positivity right in here, man. So I want to first off, first off, I want to thank y'all brothers for coming through. Yeah, Doug is still a member of the Grapevine, man. You got to chill out.
I'm still with it. Chill.
I don't still my peoples too. Half the, you know what I'm saying? Half the people my bro. We can't even talk about capitalism, my nigga.
Y'all just get this started.
All right, bet. First off, I want to, you know what I'm saying? First, we're gonna mention that this episode is sponsored by Cryptology Pod. You know what I'm saying? Go follow at Cryptology Pod on Instagram and Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Also, go listen to new episodes on Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud. Second of all, I want to thank you brothers for coming through. You know what I'm saying? I definitely appreciate the time taken out for this. So we're going to just kick things off. You know what I'm saying? I want to start off with a basic question. I know each of you guys are going to have, and this is why I invited y'all, because I know y'all going to have nuanced responses, especially different from mine. The basic question of, we'll start off simple. Does capitalism benefit black people? I'm going to answer first because I absolutely think it does. I think niggas need a whole lot more capitalism in their life. And I think that's actually the only thing black people are missing or really lacking that's preventing them from any type of social mobility, freedom, liberation, whatever you want to call it. So I'll go to you, Trey, because I know you are, I don't know if I should call you a socialist, but you're definitely anti-capitalist.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely not a capitalist. But like you said, we all got nuanced responses. So, you know, realistically speaking, you know, currently we're under capitalism. So I think, you know, currently we need to master what capitalism is, how to practice it, and from there, determine a more long-term solution for this problem we got economically.
All right. Doug, let me hear what you got.
So I am a capitalist, despite right? Many people might not believe that, but I believe in capitalism because I believe in being able to maximize profits. I believe in the individual being able to use his or her skills for their own greater good. Where capitalism having some negative disadvantages are the fact that it's only for the individual, right? So it leaves a whole lot of people behind in the dust when you're thinking about nation building, when you're thinking about black people as a collective, right? So you're asking, does it benefit black people? It can, but when you look at us as a unit, all of us, there's so much inequity and inequality already within our community that it makes it very hard for the black community as a whole to benefit, individually.
That's a fact.
Okay, all right. We go save the best for last.
Yo, first of all, shout out to the brothers in this chat. The call for putting this together. I think this is a great conversation we're having here. I think it's positive. I think it's more conversations like this need to be had with black men, or I like to say African men. But I'm a fan of capitalism. I feel like it's the best economic system viable or available at our disposal. Socialism leads to communism. Communism leads to death. So I can't say that there's any other system that is going to be able to compete or serve the interests of the people.
And I actually agree with that. And, you know, kind of to go back to Trey, like, I do agree. And I feel like we all agree at this point that black people need to understand capitalism and use it to their disposal right now. I think it sounds like we're all in agreement of that. But even, let's say we get to that point where people do learn about it and accept it, do you think we need to transition to something else like someone like Trey would say? Because I personally feel like we don't. And to answer with Doug's issue that was brought up in terms of it being about individualism and not necessarily helping the collective, I do feel like if black people were focused more on individualism in terms of helping themselves, it would, in effect, help the collective on a macro scale. Like, I think that self-interest is required on each individual level in order to help the black people, the black masses at large.
Got you. To dig a little deeper to my point and what I was saying, we got to really understand, again, what capitalism is. And the word is in it, it's capital. And that's, you know, ownership. You know what I'm saying? Land, resources, distribution, manufacturing, things of that nature. So even if we do come together as a collective, at some point we're going to want to purchase land. And 1% own 99%. 1% of Caucasians, white America, owns 99% of the land. Now we have to hope that they're willing to share some of that land, that they'll be open to buying some of that land. So again, for me, capitalism essentially at some point will have its limits. You get what I'm saying? Living in America, at least.
Well, I would disagree at that point because I you know, if you even want to say the 1%, there's a couple of Asians and Jews and Indians sprinkled in that 1%. So, and no one is stopping these Asians own the Rockefeller Center. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's a staple in American culture, and Asians own it. So it's not like it's impossible for people with money to not purchase these things. Other cultures are doing it. So black people, I feel, could do the same.
I'm not saying that it's impossible. What I'm saying is there will be roadblocks along the way. You get what I'm saying? So even if so, we own no means of distribution and manufacturing and things of that nature, right? And these, like you said, the Asians, the Jews, the Caucasians have that. So we have to somehow appeal to them to see if we can buy these things or invest in these things from them, but we don't have these resources ourselves. You get what I'm saying?
So I want to piggyback off of that a little bit because capitalism is buying and selling. That's what it is. You got entrepreneurs, you got capital goods, you got natural resources, and most of everybody is labor. So you individually own your own labor. I think there's a rift here is the fact that you have capitalism. You have to completely ignore the racial part of it, completely ignore every other system that there is. I'm talking about, you know, there are these barriers to entry that, frankly, if we want to be real, green is all that matters, right? If you have enough money, you could buy it.
I agree.
But that barrier to entry to get there as a collective, right? Because I keep going back to this collective thing because that's a question you ask. Is it good for black people? Individually, for me, I'm doing well. You know what I'm saying? Like the building I'm sitting in, I own a unit here. I'm in the process of buying a bunch of stuff. I am doing okay. But it's everybody else. So me taking advantage of capitalism, does that mean it's good for all black people? It can be if everyone learns how to use that tool. But we are so far down in a deficit that it makes it really hard for it to happen currently, it's going to take generations upon generations, in my opinion, generations upon generations to make it to where there is an equitable tool. Even if you look at something like Black Wall Street, right? Mm-hmm. Black Wall Street was lit. We all want to strive to have something similar, right? Like to where we can buy and sell ourselves. The dollar stays in our community, like that. I think that everybody thinks that that's a good thing, right? But there are the haves and the have-nots there too. It's not like everybody was rich in Black Wall Street. You had the owners and you had the labor. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You can't pay people too much for their labor, or else your business is going to go under. You know what I'm saying? So there's haves and have-nots with everything. So before we even get to the racial aspect of it, of all the Asians that own land and all the white people that own land, we got to understand that within capitalism, there's no benefit to having there's no benefit to maximizing capital if you can't exploit laborers. Like, that's just kind of how it works.
Well, I think that's a general law of nature. Yes. I think that's representative in a lot of things. I mean, even if it was if you made a sort of competition for money, I'm pretty sure a smaller part of the society would be better at whatever you stipulate the parameters of the competition would be. So I think we do have to acknowledge that if you are a capitalist, there will be winners and losers. But at the same time, again, in order for us to move, when we take the presupposition that not everybody's going to win, but in order for us to win as a culture, in order to get a majority of our people in winning positions, it will require some level of individualism. So you're one person who's doing good. You have a black wife. You have a black child. If you have more black children. So now you're immediately affecting the lives of other black people. You associate with other black men. So if you're making an investment and you're talking about it with other black men, you are now affecting their lives and when they permeate into their families. But that's simply based off of you and your self-interest and seeking out your self-interest. So in my opinion, that's how you lead to the collective improving.
Here's my thing with capitalism. Capitalism rewards ambition and creativity. Without rewarding ambition and creativity, you have nothing new as far as the technology front is concerned. And technology runs the world. So if you look at the black community, we are way far behind in the production of technology. And that's the number one reason why we are behind is because we're not up to date on technology. It's because we don't understand capitalism. Socialism and communism destroys the technology front and the growth of the economy.
So I disagree with that, with the final part of your statement. I do agree that we're behind in technology. Believe me, I'm a recruiter, and I sit next to tech recruiters, and they're begging for black people to come to our company because it's like, yo, I can't find a black data scientist anywhere. So I totally agree that we need to get on that level. Mm-hmm. But if you look at Cuba, technologically, they're up there. They're sending their doctors around the world to different countries around the world, and they are the leading experts on a lot of the most modern advances of science. It's really an interesting thing. Now, what does get killed in a socialist and a communist society is like their heart. They can't strive for that next level. And so you have a level of your laborers that just don't care about their work product. And that's what gets messed up. So maybe technologically, like they're not going to put together that good as well as somebody in America or a different capitalist society that can, get a promotion if they do that part well. So that's what gets killed a little bit. However, education is what advances technology. Education is what advances creativity. And a place like Cuba, not Venezuela, not even Russia, to be honest, but a place like Cuba, they are, I think, like top 2 or 3 in the world as an educated body of a population.
Well, I think that using Cuba is a little bit misleading. A lot of their advances are in the science in terms of medical sciences, biological sciences front, but it's not necessarily in like coding or programming. Not necessarily saying that they don't exist, but that's not what that's not what their bread and butter is. But I think what happens is capitalism, it does reward creativity, but what it rewards more than creativity is that it rewards people who solve a problem. So when there's a need within society and you can solve it in America, you will get compensated for it generously. And the thing is, when people are in an environment where they know that's possible, they look for what are the problems in the world and they try to solve it. Whether it's finding the cure for a disease, whether it's generating new technology to help someone that's handicapped, whether it's someone like, I always like to use the example of Uber and of how technology can solve social ills, because I remember, being a dude in New York trying to catch cabs. Y'all already know, late night from the club, nobody trying to drive to Brooklyn. Cabs used to just run past you. As the moment Uber got made, I never hailed the yellow cab again, because I was like, I'm not even gonna put myself, because that was one of the worst feelings, like just going through that whole. And I don't even want to say it's embarrassment because I don't even care, but it's like, yo, dog, y'all really gonna do this bullshit to me where you flagging cabs down, they running past you? Once Uber came out and they solved that issue of me not having to worry about if the cab is gonna pick me up and drop me off in that location, they got all my cab business. So, in a sense, I think that the environment of capitalism breeds us an environment that we automatically end up solving the world's ills. Like, even if you talk about a lot of countries that quote unquote have the best healthcare system, for the most part, their government officials and business leaders come to America to get treatment for their serious injuries. Because although our healthcare system may have issues in terms of everyone getting equal access, if you do have the capital, we have the best in the business in terms of healthcare.
Personally, like, putting this in perspective when it comes to benefiting like Black Americans, you get what I'm saying? We gotta look back and see where it even came from. You get what I'm saying? The history of what capitalism is and how did it start. It didn't start with Black Americans in mind. So with that being said, we gotta recognize that and understand. All right, they don't have us in mind. Not only that, capitalism was built with us completely out of thought. But also, we don't even have a representing body now to even partake in capitalism correctly, like as a collective, as a unit, because we're talking about Black Americans, not a Black American. You know what I'm saying? Africans in America. So we got to understand that collectively. You feel me? That's where we run into the issue, because again, we don't have the capital again to even start these businesses or even get a lot of this stuff off the ground. You know what I'm saying? So just speaking realistically, you feel what I'm saying? So you take away the assets, you take away the family car and the family house. People, on average, is $1,400. You get what I'm saying? So what are we doing with $1,400 per household as Black Americans in this country to even start to build capital and equity and ownership? We don't have the capital to do so yet. So even there, we have to figure out how to build capital within.
And even beyond that, right? So again, capitalism is all about the individual. The individual has to learn the skills. They have to be able to see the skills. What is an entrepreneur? Could anybody even answer that leaving high school? Some people can't answer what an entrepreneur was. Like, I knew that it was a person that started a business, but I couldn't tell you the half of what that actually meant. It is literally not taught in high schools. And I went to a very mixed high school. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't only around Black people, but I could imagine, like, my resources were a lot better than those who did not have as good of resources. Mm. Like, the deficit. Like, in order to make money, you gotta have money. Like, that's an old saying, but it's true as hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, in order to own, you gotta buy. In order to buy, you gotta have money. You know what I'm saying? You can't barter your skills and say, hey, kid, let me get this land. I could, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could fill this water bottle up real good, and for you, like, you can't.
I do agree with that. And as much of a pro-capitalist as I am, I do recognize the fact that slavery was the big bang for capitalism. Like, capitalism needed something to jumpstart the engine, and slavery was that thing to jumpstart it. So I do acknowledge the fact that I don't even know if you could even build a proper capitalist society without that jumpstart in the beginning. So I do acknowledge that fact. But we here. This is what we dealing with at the same. You know what I'm saying? Like we just here at this point. But you know, the funny thing is when we talk about capital, and I do agree with everything y'all said about we don't have the capital as a collective. But something was funny, and I was thinking about it today because I was seeing my boy, our favorite LeVar Ball advertising his JBA league, right? Yeah. So I was just sitting back thinking like it was so crazy because Diddy just got denied, when he was allegedly gonna put together a group to go buy the Panthers, right? So now, you got these black celebs that do have the wealth, right? But they try to pull it up to purchase membership within a white organization, which is run by white people. It's their organization. Meanwhile, you got stuff like Ice Cube's Big Three League. You got LeVar Ball's JBA that he's trying to do for young kids. These are both leagues that we have tons of black celebrities, black moguls, that it's they're trying to pull together groups for billions of dollars to get access in that for the money they already got like in their pocket. They could contribute to these leagues and help them grow to become stuff that could be comparable to these ones that they're trying to get access to. And that mentality to me is really part of what holds us back, because that's our leadership, quote unquote, because most black people look up to celebrities, entertainers. So if you're looking at the leadership and the people who are, quote unquote, making the moves as black people, and all they do is try to get purchase something in membership of someone else's thing. Oh, I want to get a Grammy. Oh, I want acknowledgement from from white people. Like, how do you combat that? And to me, that's why I'm like, you just got to be for Dolph.
Right, and that's why Carl, I agree with you there, because capitalism is what we're dealing with, the collective, to take into that roadblock too. You get what I'm saying? So we really have to. I honestly don't have the answers. Like for me, I could just provide perspective. You get what I'm saying? Like when you think of how the Africans were taken over, you get what I'm saying? They were boxed in. You know what I mean? By people that they trusted to trade with. You feel what I'm saying? And that's how they were spiritually, and that's how they were as a people. You feel what I'm saying? So even now, when you think about it, when we all make moves in capitalism, i.e. Black Panther or whatever the case may be, we move in groups still. You feel what I'm saying? So I think it's time like we actually start to think of the conscience of what the black, I'm gonna say black neighborhoods are, because we are in the community. We just live in the same vicinities. It's just black neighborhoods. You feel me? So I think it's time we look at the psychology of how to actually but embrace the black consciousness now and implement it so that we could partake in black capitalism the right way. I think that's where we at currently.
I think that's a good point about nation building, but to put both of your comments kind of together, and I know you're not gonna like this, but that is there's a sense of socialism in that, in order to be able to pick everybody up.
Right. Rich
people, if we really we know we're at this deficit with capital. We don't have the money to be able to take over the way that we can, right? But now you get two good examples. You got the JBL, you got the Big Three, then you got Diddy clearly trying to do something with the NFL. He could take all that money and put it into the JBL. He could take all that money and put it into the Big Three or
well, Diddy's not trying to do anything. They sold that team already, so Diddy don't even got a shot in that. They already told him.
Right, no, I understand it. What I'm saying is that he's taking a whole lot of his own capital and saying, all right, black people, let's do this.
Right.
That's socialism. Because he's trying to because socialism is for the greater good of everybody.
Right.
That's what it's for. You literally are saying, I don't need my own capital gains. I made my capital, I'm spending it like this for everybody else. Not for now, it makes you feel good if that's what you think. Like, it makes your heart feel good. But it's for the greater good of everybody else if you are really putting that cash infusion into something else, into somebody else's business, and saying, I want to do this for us.
Well, I disagree.
That's a microcosm of socialism.
No, it's not. I disagree completely. I think it's just a byproduct of capitalism because, like, as America, as capitalist as we also are the most generous nation by far in terms of charitable contributions. Even an act of tipping isn't even a common gesture in other countries. Like, that's a purely American thing, like the act of tipping. So
they also get wages for their like waitress work. So that's.
I mean, but the waitress can't afford to come to New York if she wants to go on vacation at the end of the day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's still some form of slavery. Any way you want to cut it, you know what I'm saying? Their healthcare might be paid off, but they can't. They don't have expendable income to travel like maybe an American probably does. You know what I'm saying? So it's a trade off either way. You know what I'm saying? So it's bugged out. One thing I really feel that. And that's why, even when we do this cryptology podcast, I really feel like things like I feel like the tech industry, period, like this is literally the last of the Mohicans for black people in general. Like if black people don't get on the tech wave right now, we finished. Like it's just a wrap. Like we finished. You know what I'm saying? Whether they getting on the crypto wave or whether you just putting your kids in STEM programs, just getting them up on technology in general. Like me personally, I tell people all the time, if I'm a third world country, all I'm doing is investing in coding classes for the youth. Like, I would just build my youth up to be like the #1 coding army in the world, and you instantly change you at least bare minimum become a top tier second world nation. You know what I'm saying? A developing nation.
Right. That's a good point.
So,
I'm with you. Yeah, go ahead. Why
aren't your Black Lives Matters people telling people to do that? I'm really curious to know, son. Because niggas is doing all types of protests, but I don't see nobody protesting for STEM to be introduced into public schools and minority communities. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that's really...
call for false equivalency, by the way.
Huh?
I said leave it to call for false equivalency.
No, that's a real equivalency, my dude. That's a very real one. That's a very... What's the...
No funny. That I think the mindset, though, when you think about it, I think that mindset of us not being in tech come from... Think about it. They was telling us video games don't matter. Get on. So we got a fucking education system from, you know what I'm saying, generations of mental enslavement. And now we're trying to get into this economy, and we got to break these barriers and change the game completely. You feel what I'm saying? We starting from zero, and they already, like, investing in tech. You feel me? Now we starting to realize we got to invest in tech. And we kind of missed the boat. No funny shit. If you want to keep it 100. Like,
no, you definitely did. Like, I'm just saying, at least swim to the joint. We could still see it in the water. Try to swim to the shit. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying.
I'm with you.
But another thing too, and I was curious to know, especially from Doug and from your perspective too. I know we addressed that black people don't necessarily have the income. So now we're not talking about the celebrities, we're talking about the average everyday black American. They may not necessarily have the income to make these type of investments. But one thing a lot of them do have, especially like older ones, like parents, they do have the credit for it. Why aren't black people utilizing their credit more to get into investments as opposed to many other races? For the most part, I mean, every single development you see in Manhattan is paid with finance money. Like, there's no building that goes up paid out of someone's pocket. I'm not saying that, the regular father or nurse could just go, use his credit line in order to get that type of financing. But on a much lower scale, they could get a 2-family house, a 3-family house, and they could still get it going. Why are more people doing that?
We've been taught to be in competition instead of working together. You feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, grow up, get out the crib. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just keep perpetuating shit that keeping us poor. You feel me? So we're not thinking about group economics. That's just on the macro level of group economics. Because even, you know what I'm saying, buying a big crib and everybody living together. Also, where we spend our money matters. You feel me? We gotta know where we spend our dollar. Our dollar leaves the community before it even ever comes back. Where we spend our money in the community with the Arabs, they don't take that and invest in the black community. They take it and enrich their community. We buy the Chinese food. You don't see them in the Jamaican spots. You feel me? So it also matters where we put our money to as well on that macro level.
So as far as investments, this is a question that gets asked by a lot of Black finance workers, right? Like, because like even folks that are even Black folks that are very well to do and that are making bank, they don't invest their money well, or often. It's a weird thing in the finance community as like, yo, why aren't Black people with money investing? I can't answer that, and frankly, the people that study this, like I'm not the expert on it, but I'm speaking to experts on it, and they're like, yo, like why? I don't get it. How come we're not doing this? People will put their money in a 401k, but they won't buy a stock. It's weird to me. It's weird to them, and that is something, frankly, that can help us. Even the average person, you get, you got a nice little 9 to 5. You take home a nice paycheck. You can go buy a stock. You can, if like Black people as a collective would rather put that money into savings than invest it into whatever it is, whether it be a stock, whether it even be towards a new business, whatever. It's a weird thing. Like we will have these high ass savings accounts and will not invest any of that money. You know what I just thought about? Remember, what was it, Booty Calls, and shit like that? I forget what movie it was where no, it was How to Be a Player, where he took all his money and took mad bread and he put it into the savings account, and he left his receipt from the ATM outside so she could see it, and she was like, oh shit, he got money. Like that's how we think. Like, oh shit, I got 30,000 in the savings account. I'm good.
Right.
Well, you could take 10,000 out right now, live the same exact life, and watch that money just grow. And we don't do that. That's a weird thing.
Could I?
That I wanted to bring up was about the dollar in our community, right? Everybody who's listening and watching this, if you haven't read Our Black Year by Maggie Anderson, try to read that. It shows her struggle. She literally took 1 year, her and her family, where they only bought Black. Every single thing. The only thing that they did not, unless it was an emergency like a hospital or something, it was all Black ownership, Black everything. It was really hard.
Right.
One of the big reasons why our money goes outside of our community is because we literally don't have the businesses to be able to keep it in the community.
True. We
get paid, we need to go to the grocery store.
Right.
Where's there a Black-owned grocery store? And in fact, in that book, sorry for a spoiler, there was this Black-owned grocery store that was beautiful. Nobody even believed it was a Black-owned grocery store. You know what I'm saying? She was trying to get Black people to come shop at that grocery store, and nobody would go there like, yo, nah, I'm not going 3 miles away. This is not Black-owned. It looks too nice to be Black-owned. Yeah. So things like that are why the dollar leads our community.
Right. Yeah, to answer your first question, I know me personally, like, I was not rocking with stocks. Like, I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. And for me, it was like, I'm going to put my money in something that I don't get. I didn't understand it. You get what I'm saying? And I think for the most part, like people like me and where we come from, and like what I was doing at the time, like, you know what I'm saying, pushing or whatever the case may be, I wasn't even thinking about that. You know what I'm saying? So it's more so like, I don't think we as a collective know exactly how to invest. The way I learned, no funny, is because I'm a tech head. And then that's when the crypto dropped. That's when I jumped into it. And I just transferred that knowledge back over to stock. You get what I'm saying? And that's how I picked it up. So it just so happened to work out that way. And I think, you know, Black people, that got to be something like, you know, we got to have like community programs on that from young. You know what I'm saying? How to invest in stocks, where to put your money. You know what I'm saying? How to read the charts. Because even when I'm putting my mom and all of them on Robinhood and all of that, they're like, all right, so what do I do? What am I looking at? You know what I'm saying? It's the matrix to them, for real. So I think it's also a lack of education in the realm of what stocks and owning stocks are.
I would agree with that too, but I also don't like using that excuse. Like, we in the age of like YouTube and things. Like, I know myself personally, like most of my knowledge on investments, actually all of my knowledge on investments came outside of the classroom. Like, none of it came from inside of the classroom. So I do think that, you know, people need to take a conscious effort into trying to learn these things. And I think another thing that a lot of Black people miss out on is that they're so caught up, like so emotional and caught up with anger that they want to be so like anti-white that they can't even just watch what these dudes is doing, how they making money, and just use it for your advantage. It's like you're not selling out, you're not trying to be like them, but it's like, yo, if these niggas figured out a way how to make money off of this joint, maybe I should pay attention to what these niggas is doing over here. Like, and I think that's really where, when it gets past the point, none of us had that education. We all, except Doug, probably Doug went to school for it, but we all, and even when you go to school for most of these business majors, they're not really teaching you how to make money on investing. Like, the best economics teacher, exactly, the best economics teacher isn't out there, making 200 million, you know what I'm saying, on the market. Those are just the random
economics teacher.
Exactly. So I always tell like black people, like, you don't want to just treat investments like a vehicle where you want to just be a good driver. You don't necessarily want to be the best mechanic. So you don't really need to know all the inner workings of how this investment is working. But if you know the basics and know how to determine whether it's a good or bad investment, you need to start getting active in them.
Oh yeah, I'm with you on that. Because a lot of people don't have the wherewithal to be like, yo, Carl, how the fuck you do that? You know what I'm saying? I hit you up like, yo, bro, I want to learn how to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you on that. There's too many ways for us, you know what I'm saying, to learn. You know what I mean? There's too many ways for us to learn for free.
And you know what else I've noticed too? A lot of black people are scared of failure in terms of, a lot of people don't understand that investments require risk, and not every single time you make an investment, you're going to win. And what I've noticed, especially with the cryptos, because, a lot of people was hitting me up about the cryptos and when they started booming. The moment the prices went down, like, all those messages stopped. Like, nobody hit me up about cryptos. Now people hitting me up about options because I posted up a few screenshots of my options. But if I show them days where I'm down 40% one day like that, you know what I'm saying? Dudes wouldn't be wanting to fuck with the options either. And I think that's another thing that holds us back, where it's like, we got to get to a point where a level of maturity where it's like, bro, like, just take the feelings out of it. Like, this is what we got to put in the work. Or you going to be working till you 75 and you're going to drop dead on the job and your kid's going to ball out with your pension money.
Word up.
That's real. That investment, by the way, that investment isn't just stocks, though. Like,
it's real estate, whatever. Like,
yeah, that investment is also like, if you're scared of how the money works, because frankly, when you're buying into a stock, this for everybody who doesn't understand, when you're buying into a stock, you're really just buying and saying, hey, I think this business is going to do well. That's really it. I think the business is going to grow, and if it grows, you make money, you make dividends. It's really as simple as that. Right. And the public makes that decision. So I think everybody's going to go buy this product.
Right.
That's what it is, right? But that's a lot of trust in the public.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of trust in a business. That business has to be able to run well. You don't know these businessmen. So you don't have to put your money in the stock market. You go buy a small property. Go down south. Go to Florida. Put a little bit of money into a home and rent it out and make $200 a month on that home.
And like,
you know what I'm saying? Like, make $100 a month on that home. The residual income
and they're paying off the home.
Super easy. It's not super easy, but it's things that we definitely can and need to learn in order to progress, in order to be able to have the capital that, frankly, white people have been passing down for generations. Like, we shouldn't be passing down zero wealth to our kids.
Right. And also expand on that to also like to give it a little bit more nuance. And it's like, I don't know the exact numbers, right? So it's between 37 to 40% on the poverty line and 37 to 40% under the poverty line. So individually, I think the issue with investing is people don't have it. But the way to remedy that again on a macro level, we got to practice group economics. You get what I'm saying? If you have 10 friends, y'all got $10. You get what I'm saying? Invest that 100 in a stock, in the crypto, and y'all split the profits 5 ways and do it that way. So there's ways we can go about it. We might not have the capital individually, but as a group, we come together, we do susu. So you could take that susu money, invest it into a stock or a crypto. There's many different ways within our community that we can do this and start to build collectively.
And that's funny that you mentioned that, because I think that actually leads to another problem that I notice, and I always talk about it, is that I feel like what happens, and I'm the complete opposite. Like me, every time I learn something, I always try to put people onto it. But a lot of people, They find the lick, they get the lick, and they don't want to tell anybody. Like, it's like they feel like if I share the information with another person that looks like me, I'm somehow losing out. When no investments work like that for the most part, you know what I'm saying? Like, as far as I'm concerned, like, at the end of the day. So how do you address that, or why does that even exist? Because I know I'm not bugging. I know this is something that's very real.
Yeah, that shit's weird too.
It's a weird thing, man.
It's weird. Because I feel like I had a little bit of that before. You know what? But you know what else that is though? That's competition in school. That's competition as we're growing up as kids, right? Like everybody, you know, you look at the valedictorian and the salutatorian. You know, like you got, and this, just to let you know, this is not just a black community thing,
right?
Because you got white kids hiding books at Yale and Harvard to make sure that they get a better grade than the next man,
right?
And hiding investments, like they'll share it with their close friends, but they're not doing a cryptology podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not something that's happening in the white community, period.
Right.
Not without, especially not without some type of capital gain. Mm-hmm. People will sell their information. They won't give it away for free. So Carl, you're actually kind of tripping. You're actually, honestly, Carl, you're a socialist, homie.
No, I'm not. First of all, I'm not a one. Don't ever name that. Even though that's why my name begin with K, because you know, Mad Haitians back in the day, they was on that socialist wave heavy. So that, you know, a lot. That's why my joint is called with a K actually. But you know what's funny, Doug? I disagree with you. And you know what I'm going to use this analogy that I always tell people. People always say like, oh, why do third world nations, they're so corrupt, blah, blah, blah. They can't, you know, function, et cetera, et cetera. I always tell people, third world countries are just as corrupt as America. America just has enough money to subsidize the corruption. So when the same amount of corruption exists in like a third world country, it bankrupts the country. But America just generates so much that they can subsidize the corruption. And I would equate that to white people, where a lot of the white people, there's enough white people doing that where they kind of subsidize, like, even though there's white people like that exist, they're in a position that they can afford more people being like that as opposed to us. But, I noticed one thing, though, and I won't say, I don't want to group all white people together, but I do notice something that I would say that I see with Jewish people, with Asian people, and with Indian people, you know, especially if I'm at a function and, you know, any type of high-level function, whether it be government, business, or whatever, if it's 2 or 3 black people in the room, everyone wants to stay, like, the 3 black people want to stand as far away from each other as possible because they don't want to look like they about to start a next revolution in there. But if there's 2, no, but real talk, but if there's 2 Jewish dudes or 2 Asian dudes or 2 Indian dudes that walk in that same room, before the end of the night, they're going to find some way to make their way to each other, and they're going to link and talk about whatever they got to link and talk about. You know what I'm saying? So, again, to go back against what you're saying, Doug, like, I do see behaviors commonplace being reflected by other races, nationalities, religions, whatever you want to classify them as, and I don't see that happening with black Americans. I don't want to exclude black Americans. I want to say black people that are in America, because even if you're a Caribbean descendant, African descendant, you know, nigga, 10, 15 years, you American, you black American, you might as well be. So, like,
I don't know if I've had that same experience. But I also, you know me, like, I'm wild social. So I do make sure that I talk to all the black people. You know, so, but
they probably was, first of all, they weren't intimidated by you because you light skinned.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, again, I think that selling knowledge happens outside of the community. Like, you know.
It's just, I think it's our nature, you feel me? Like, I think culture plays a big part in this, honestly. When, like, I'm a Pan-African, so, you know, I believe in African teachings and things of that nature. I don't believe you can just take a European ideal and put it on black people and say this works for you. Personally, I don't believe it. You know what I'm saying? So I think by nature, we reject it. You know what I'm saying? Especially because where we come from and how we were here just in America, we have never really defined, you know what I'm saying, any official rules and leadership and organization throughout the year. So I think personally, like it's not necessarily in our nature to practice it, because if it was, I think we would have.
Well, Doug, do you think something like Pan-Africanism or some sort of ideology similar to it is required for Black people to effectively use capitalism in their favor? Like, how do you address the macro issue? Like, how do you, when you say, because capitalism by its nature is an individual, it's based on an individual. It's an individualist platform. So is it possible to create a way, or what is needed to address the collective issue in regards to capitalism?
Is that for me? You asked
that was for Doug, real quick, and you can answer it after.
So it requires a buy-in, because we're talking about an ideology here.
Right.
We're talking about a system. Mm-hmm. We all bought into the system because we're born into it. We all believe that this fictional dollar is wealth. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, that wasn't, 10,000 years ago, there was not that. 5,000 years ago, there was not that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, the dollar has been created, and now that's what our currency is. So in the same way that capitalism as a system was created, and that's the way that we buy and sell and frankly live our lives. So to answer your question about Pan-Africanism, it can work on a macro level if everybody buys into it. All right, we're going to do this. Black people are going to put this much money aside to make sure that we can do this, that, and the other.
Right.
Whatever the case may be, there needs to be buy-in by all the people who consider themselves Pan-African or that want to be inside that Pan-African bubble, you know, in order to make that work. And then it can work, because, again, there was a Black Wall Street. Mm-hmm. It happened. It was a real thing. You know what I'm saying? Everybody said, all right, we're going to go to Tulsa. Tulsa is not the place where I want to live, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, collectively, a whole lot of Black people had to decide that they was going to go to fucking Oklahoma. Like, that shit.
That's something.
Fathom that. You know what I'm saying? So there was, again, a collective buy-in in order to do that. So it can work. I don't think there can be, I mean, I think Jay Morrison's trying it right now with his fund.
Yeah, shouts out to him. No, I'm saying shouts out to him. Like, I really hope that, and I'm praying, I really want that thing to be really on the level, and I really want it to be successful, because I just really want, I like something like that. I agree with it conceptually so much. I just want it to do well, and I just stay away from the shorties, my nigga. Like, don't get caught up in no scandals. Like, just stay with your wife. Like, I just want his shit to do good. Like, please, like, let us just get this one thing going. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Oh, but yeah, that's my answer for that. There got to be a collective buy-in from Black people in order for some type of Pan-African system, and community to be able to work.
Absolutely. And like, just to add on to that, like, I'm Pan-African, so I'm not saying everybody has to be Pan-African. You get what I'm saying? For this to work, that's just what I believe in personally. I'm just saying, like, I was just looking at the history, not saying, all right, we got to use Pan-Africanism as the answer for economics. I was just stating that I'm a Pan-African. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So, for me, like, even when you look at, like, even when we start to talk about solutions and how to progress under capitalism, we have to think collectively. You get what I'm saying? So it's not Pan-Africanism, but it's a collective. So it's a fundamental. You know what I'm saying? It's a fundamental, like, principle to Pan-Africanism. That's all I was saying. Just creating that parallel.
And I do feel that it's weird. Although I would love to be like, I would love for something like Pan-Africanism to come to fruition. But I do understand, like, on a global scale, how people are more divided by nationality than on race. Like, race is really a very American thing. Like, it's not not saying that race doesn't matter, but the race is usually, the context of race usually applies in a nationalistic sense. Like, it's really nationalities that people identify with on a global scale. So that's the part of me that doesn't really feel that there's any feasible way to have Pan-Africanism exist, because so many people are just going to always default to their nationality as an identity marker.
Absolutely. But like, I would never, like, put Pan-Africanism, like, to say, yo, Black people need to be Pan-African to be successful. I would never say that. You get what I'm saying?
But at the same time, I do feel like something's necessary. Like at the end of the day, you know, whether it's Jewish people are tied, united by their religion, like even now, you see a lot of Asians that are born and raised in America, go to school in America, like American citizens, graduate, and they're going back to China to develop their country, you know, at home. And there are people that aren't even born in China. So I kind of do feel that whether it's a stake in an area, like we, especially for Black Americans, I really do feel like Black Americans need to kind of figure out an area that we want to call our own. So that will kind of create that self-interest of wanting to develop, you know what I'm saying, to give people something to tie into. Because outside of that, I
always just thought like Pan-Africanism, at most, should be a foundation of your thought process. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because just if living in America, because you always got to think collectively if you thinking about solutions about the Black community. You get what I'm saying? So for me, what made me look at it and say, okay, this could be used as a tool is because, like I said, at a certain point under capitalism in America, we're going to run into roadblocks. You get what I'm saying? So at that point, we got to say, okay, what do we do from here? Where do we find, where are we able to build more buildings that we can manufacture from? Where are we able to, you get what I'm saying? We're going to need allies. You feel what I'm saying? So reaching out to other African nations or whatever would be, you know what I'm saying, something I would think of like, oh, that would be smart because maybe this country thinks along our lines that we can help with ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So it could be a tool, you know what I'm saying, to really build our communities.
So there's a, like we've been making comparisons here, right? Like, you know, you got Asians, you got Jews, you got you know, people from their own countries. I don't know enough about Asians to be able to speak on Asians. I don't, you know, but I do know Jews.
Right.
And there's always weird comparisons for two reasons. Number one, Judaism is a religion, right? Like the ones that the Jews that we see and we're like, oh my God, they're collectively together. Look at them doing things together. They're tied by something that's more spiritual than skin color. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not. You know what I'm saying? They're not saying, "Yo, my brother was good." They're like, "Yo, we're praying to the same God." So there's a bit of a stronger tie to their collectivism. On top of that, they have these rules, right? There are different rules that they abide by. Like they can't be in the same. Like they can't be in the same cars as people. Like women can't be in the same car as a man that they're not married to. It's really weird. Like they got certain doctrines that they need to. You know, that's another reason why they have their own ambulance and their own school systems. On top of that, it's like very strategic the way they take over school systems and take over areas in a way that we don't. Right. And in fact, I'm gonna go real deep on this. Check this out. So you have Suffern, New York, right now, where a lot of Orthodox Jews are moving in and taking over that neighborhood. As they're taking over that neighborhood, the property value and the prices of all those homes are dropping very quickly and to very, very little. Why? Because nobody wants to live around just one community of people. That's not how we live our lives. Black people kind of do it a little bit, but in general, like, you kind of want some diversity. That's a lot of people do want that. The Jewish people in that community do not care that their property values are declining. Because what happens? Now their other Jewish homies are coming in. Now they're voting and putting and stuff in the ballot box to make sure that their Jewish homie is head of the school system. Now all of a sudden the science in that school system has changed. Now all of a sudden the teaching in that school system has changed. Now, so this has been happening for about 25 years. They're not there yet. They need probably another 25 years to make a real difference. Do Black people have the patience to make that happen? That's a question. Because they didn't give a fuck about capitalism. We buy a crib, we want our value to skyrocket. They're buying cribs, wanting their value to go down. And it's never gonna go up. They don't want it to go up. That's a difference between, that's one difference between the communities.
I'm with you. That's why we need that collective thought, brother. I'm with you.
To answer your question, I don't think we do. I don't think we got the stamina for that. I'm keeping it 100. I'm keeping it a stack. Like I mean, how much, dog? You're talking about a 50-year plan. Like how much niggas really got the stamina for that? A 50-year plan that you won't even see the fruits of the labor. Like your grandchildren will be benefiting from it.
Will not. Their elders in that community do not see the fruits of that labor. That's exactly what happened in Park Slope too. That's why it is. That shit took decades. That shit just didn't happen. See, and a lot of it is the microwave society we live in with Twitter and with how fast social media is. We want instant gratification and we want it now. Yep. And it does not work like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I want it now. I'm living in I bought my condo 4 years ago. I want to see my shit skyrocket right now. I just do. I know it's not going to happen, but that's just the way that we live our lives. That's how capitalism works too. I want to bring up a quote. Steve Jobs said, "You can't ask customers what they want and then give it to them. By the time you built it, by the time you asked them, somebody else would have built it." Mm-hmm. That's how fast things go. So in order to really have a collective, right? And so those are the leaders. The leaders are always going to be fast. We can't be the leaders because we don't have that much money. Mm-hmm. But in order to be able to have some stock and some stake in the game, you gotta have collective thought, collective buying, and it shit takes decades in order to actually have some footing.
So now, how would I want to pose this to y'all. So I want you guys to answer like as if you're two different people. Like one on one end, I want to know. If you guys are, let's say you guys were Obama or, a governor of a local state or a local city, and you are in a position of political power to help black people, say your number one agenda is to raise the socioeconomic status of black people. As a politician, what would be the first thing, like, what do you think is the first most immediate thing you as a politician would be able to do to directly impact that for black people? Just like, what do you, just say one, I just want to limit it to one, I think this will be number one on my agenda.
Like you said, we're behind in tech. You get what I'm saying? So off rip, I'm looking at the education system, especially in the black neighborhoods, to implement the programs that, build tech. So we can start to put, those iPads and iPhones and all of that, like those big schools that they got to pay $13,000 to go to and get that we give those to the poor communities. You get what I'm saying? So that we can actually compete. You feel me? That's why they got these schools with all these iPads and all of that teaches them coding in a fun way. As a politician, that would be one of the first things I focus on. How do we get black Americans, caught up in the education system using tech? So that would be my first thing I would tackle.
What about you, Doug?
This is a hard question because it's just so many layers, right?
I know.
Trey, you know what? Trey, I'm glad that you said that because now I'm gonna be your deputy mayor. Okay, so you work on that. I'm working next thing because I think you hit the nail on the head about education in schools because we got to be able to teach what the next generation is going to make money off of, right? Right. We also got to be healthy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I think healthcare is the next thing. We can't make money if we're not healthy.
Yeah.
And it costs a lot of money to be healthy right now. So me, I've been wanting to socialize healthcare and real socialized healthcare with a single payer system and all that. You know how I get down, Carl. So I would like that. I would like that to happen if it can. Coincided with the education. So people don't have to worry. So people don't have to worry when bad shit happens.
I definitely think those two things are. I think those are actually great answers. Like I think I'd be down with the politician if he tried to attack either one of those. Even though I'm not for universal health care as it's advertised on TV, I do feel that we need some sort of balance, some sort of system to it's healthcare costs are like out of control. But so now I want to ask you another question. In terms of, this is the other person I want you to answer it as. Like, now you're one of these black elite celebs, like, who I think are failing us as a community. Like, yeah. So, you're one of these, you're the Diddy, you're the Jay-Z, you're the Beyonce, you're one of these people. Yeah. now you're in that position where you don't necessarily have political power, but you still have influence and you do have power that can be manifested in other ways, whether it's coming out of your pocket or whether it's using your voice to manifest certain changes. What would you, what's the one first thing you would do, like number one, the same way how you answered it for the politician?
As an artist, my goal would be to set up bases in every community to where Black kids can go and they can learn not only, you know, things about tech, but like, what are we interested in? We're so interested in entertainment. You get what I'm saying? So really start to give them like the acting classes, how to make money off of music besides rap. You know what I'm saying? The background. What does, you know what I'm saying? How to work contracts, how to get your splits right. You know what I'm saying? And really start to give them these life skills that we need and that we have our eyes on. So, you know, we love sports. We love sports. We love entertainment. And we love music. So it's really, you know, all right, you want to play basketball? Cool. Now let's start to give you the education that you're going to need to own a basketball team, to own your brain correctly. You get what I'm saying? And really start to give people in these neighborhoods a nice base to come through. So come through to either, you know, learn about STEM, tech, you know what I'm saying? And really just to teach, you know what I'm saying? Even African teachings, the things that we don't get in school, everything that would be the base for. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my goal, to really start that project, to really give every neighborhood a base.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with that. What was going through my mind was making sure that that parents can work and their kids are safe. Because a big issue that we have in our community is that we need after-school programs. We need programs where we feel like our children are safe and our children are learning. Right? So if I had enough money, if I was the Diddy, if I was the Jay, and we had, and I'm assuming we have this Pan-African community now, right? Like I'm assuming that it's just us in here. I would make sure that those programs that the children want, like Trey just said, are available. And the reason why, so I guess I'm giving a similar answer to Trey, but my reasoning is to ensure that the parents, especially because, you know, we do deal with single parent households more commonly than other communities. We do deal with bullshit more commonly than other communities, right? But still, parents need to work to be able to bring that income to provide that home for their kids. Right? We need after-school programs. We need these different programs where children are interested in what they're doing, as opposed to interested in whatever else they're not supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
Because that's when the community building happens, when everyone is engaged and everyone has a goal. That's not to say that the bullshit won't creep in, because you can't fix everything, you can't fix everybody. But if children are engaged, they're generally more productive as humans, as adults.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely vote you guys in for a Grammy as well as a politician. I like all those answers. So let me ask you another question, and we're gonna wrap it up in a few, but I definitely want to get a couple more things out. And this is something I kind of felt dearly about when Nipsey Hussle started his. It kind of addresses both of y'all things where you talk about getting Black people involved in tech, also in terms of setting up bases directly in the communities. So he started his Vector 90 group, which is to bring STEM, teach STEM to Black youth. And around the time when it was open and not too long before it, a lot of Black media outlets were demonizing him because he made a comment on Instagram about, hold on, I see Doug already making a face, but he made a comment on Instagram, about whatever. I don't even remember it, so I don't want to misquote it, but allegedly it was taken as a slight or an insult towards the LGBTQ community. And it's just, I kind of feel like whenever we get a Black person that, and I'm not going to go to Bill Cosby route because he's a rapist, but with Nipsey Hussle, I feel like whenever we get a Black person that's kind of, whether it's LeVar Ball, whether it's Nipsey Hussle, that's kind of like on that self-empowerment wave, really doing something for the community, I feel like there's a whole media assault against their character, specifically from Black media. And like a dude like Hove, you know, he still never answered for snuffing that shorty on film. And it's like, I be sitting here like, damn, like nobody ever gonna bring that back up. Like, but he gets away with it. But a dude like Nipsey Hussle said a comment which I personally don't think was nothing. I don't think it was even a slight at the LGBTQ community, but that's what it was interpreted as. Right. He gets killed, but he's the dude that's actually trying to do these things we talking about. So do you guys feel that there's a concerted effort from black media to derail any black celebrity, elite, whatever it has been, to start venturing out into these enterprises and really trying to build self-sustainable businesses and community service endeavors for their community?
Absolutely. Historically, if you look throughout time, I mean, of course, historically, you look throughout time, they demonized our leaders and killed them all. You feel me? So when you look at Nipsey, you could see that, but we also have to be very careful in what we say. You know what I'm saying? Because of those reasons. So it's like knowing the history. It's like, all right, brothers, we know what they're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta play the game. You feel me? We gotta play the game how we play the game. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta like Malcolm X always kept it funky. Martin kept it funky the way they kept it funky, but they still got demonized. You get what I'm saying? And even we right now we immortalize them as a collective, but we didn't collectively always embrace them or support them or join those marches. You get what I'm saying? The Million Man March wasn't a million black people. You know what I mean? So you got to understand, like, even then, you know, black people were, you know, unfortunately involved in the destruction of our leaders. So, I mean, yeah, of course. You know what I mean? It's just by nature. You know what I'm saying? Now it may not be as conscious because now everybody wants to get the bread. You know what I'm saying? And they might not thinking, oh, we're bodying one of our leaders. It's like they're trying to be PC. You know what I mean? And being that they're trying to be PC, by way of that, they're demonizing it. So I think, you know, there's a lack of consciousness in what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? On their part. But back then, it was completely intentional. Now I think it's really a lack of knowledge, and a lot of people just moving with it.
How about you, Doug?
Yeah, I don't think that there's a concerted effort to kill everybody and
you never do.
I don't think that that's the goal. What I do think is that, well, number one, don't be a homophobe. Don't be a racist. Don't be a rapist. Don't be a rapist. Don't be a rapist. Okay? That's number one. If you don't want to get thrown out the
Let's get that out the way.
Okay, let's treat women with respect. Let's treat men with respect. Let's get consent. Like, that's a big deal. Okay, I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? So you know, like, be a good person.
Right.
Don't do fuck shit. Right, so that's first of all, and I'm not saying Nipsey Hussle did fuck shit. I saw the story and didn't even look at it because another thing the next week and another thing. But what I just said, and so that just happened to be Nipsey Hussle. He was in the media because he did that, and now all of a sudden he's demonized. Was it virtuous or not? Was it supposed to happen? I don't know. These things happen. I don't think it's a concerted effort to say, all right, this guy's doing well. Let's get him out the paint. I don't think that's what's happening right now. What I do think is that people need clicks. What I do think is that media has not figured out exactly how to monetize. So they need people to mess up. And they need to be able to exploit that. Mm-hmm. And it's fucked up. But guess what? Let's bring it all the way full circle. It's capitalism. Capitalism needs clicks. Capitalism needs bread. Capitalism needs people to mess up. Capitalism needs news. Capitalism needs new. You know what I'm saying? So that was news that day. Now, a lot of it is on us as people that take in the media. Mm-hmm. Why isn't there more grapevines? Why isn't there more people that are going to watch this? Why, you know what I'm saying? Like, the BET Awards are on right now. Why are so many people going to turn this off and watch the BET Awards? Because it's easy. Mm-hmm. People like easy. Tearing down Nipsey Hussle is easy. Mm-hmm. Recognizing his vision and supporting these kids in STEM is not as easy. Mm-hmm. Getting people out the paint, you don't got to worry about them anymore. But acknowledging them and being like, oh shit, what do I have to do now? That shit's hard. It takes self-reflection. What are you actually doing to push us forward? You know what I'm saying? Like, capitalism does not push us forward collectively. because it's an individual thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so again, that was a fantastic question, Carl, because again, capitalism got us in the paint. Capitalism got him out the paint. These media outlets need their clicks. And, I'm married to a journalist, so I understand that business very well right now.
I mean, life is all about balance, you know what I'm saying? It's just, real talk, it's chaos and order, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely recognize that, and I like how you flip that right back on me, you know what I'm saying? Using the capitalism, I respect it, you know what I'm saying? I don't got nothing for that one. I ain't even gonna lie, I don't got nothing for that one. We gonna wrap this up, you know what I'm saying? We didn't really want to go over an hour, and I think we just hit, we a little bit over an hour, but I definitely want to thank y'all, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Hotep Jesus. We definitely gonna get him back, you know what I'm saying? He just came back from the Trump gathered a whole bunch of black conservatives. I don't know what them niggas got planned, but they flew all them niggas out. This nigga's flight got delayed, so that's why he wasn't on here, but you already know, second term is locked in, fam, so they setting up. They already gearing up. Nah, but definitely appreciate y'all, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna definitely do a couple more of these live streams, you know what I'm saying, with different guests. And, we definitely gonna have these two gentlemen on our, Civil Right TV real production when we drop that in the full, you know what I'm saying? So definitely appreciate y'all, you know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all follow these dudes. Everybody's social media is in the link below. And all right, man, we catch y'all, yo. Good looks, yo.
Appreciate you, Carl.
All right, later.
All right.